Welcome to Using Google Drawings in Your Classroom webinar session. Hi, I'm Rashmi. I'm Program Director for STEAM and Computer Science Initiatives with BPSTechnology of Boston Public Schools. For today's agenda, we're going to look at basics of Google Drawing. We are also going to see how Google Drawing is being used in the classroom, and then we'll focus on some resources. So let's go to Google Drawing. Here I am in my Google Drive folder, and I have this new option right here. When I click on it, um, in my options of creating a new Google Doc, Google Sheet, or Google Slide, I have more, and in that I have an option of Google Drawings. When I click on that, I open an untitled document like this. In this, I can name my project right in here. So I click in here, I select it, and today my project is going to be called Save the Girl Child. And I'm going to create a poster which is of the dimensions 19 by 13 inches. So I'm going to go into my file menu, and in this menu, I can create new files. I can move my file into different locations. This is the download option. So when I'm done with my poster design in Google Drawing or whichever drawing, I can download it as a PDF document, a JPEG document, a PNG document, or a scalable vector graphic, which is a .svg format. So for the purposes of this presentation, I'm going to refer to a PDF document at the end of this presentation. You can also publish your Google Drawing directly to the web, and that's another feature that is very useful for a lot of people. So today, as we look at page setup, we want to usually you will end up with a standard setup of 4:3, which is a page size, or you can go into a widescreen version of 16 by 9, or in this case, I'm going to choose a custom setup wherein you have an option of choosing inches, centimeters, points, or pixels. But I want a 19 by 13 um, poster. So I'm going to do that right here. So I have a, or let's do a 15 by 19. So I have OK, and I get a poster page which is modified to that dimension. And I can go back in and I can change those dimensions accordingly. I also want to have a background color of black. So I right clicked on my document and I'm going to go into background. I want a solid or a gradient background. In this case, I want a gradient background, which will be something like this. Now, having a screen with a gradient background, I can go into my edit menu, which also gives me an option of undo, redo, or pasting. View is usually about the zooming in, zooming out, snap options, and similar options which are constrained in view. But you can also look at the toolbar right here. This is your print option. This gives you the undo, redo commands. This will be your zoom option, which will allow you to zoom in or zoom out back to your normal screen size. This is your arrow key, which is also your select key. This is the select line, which also gives you multiple options of the drawing a line, which could be something like this, or you can do an arrow in this case, and you can change the size of that arrow, or you can make it um, of different designs or diagrams depending on what you want. You can also choose an elbow connector, which can be something like that, or you can do a curved connector. So you can have a really, let me choose the color, which is white, so you can see it a little bit more carefully. So here I have some curve connectors that I can use, or you can use something like a scribble. So let me just go in, select all that I have done on mine, and then I use my scribble connector, and let's say I write my name in here, which is not my um, this is not my signature, but I could very well be doing a signature with this, and I can use that into an electronic format at a different stage. So that's one way of using Google Drawing. But here, what we are going to do is use the option menu of insert, um, and I can insert a text box, I can insert an image, a chart from my Excel sheet, or I'm going to insert a word art. So in this case, my word art is going to be save the girl child, and I'm going to do that. I also want to change the font, which I can change to many different font sizes in here, but I'm going to change that font to architect. And then I also want to insert a shape. So I'm going to go in here. I can insert a shape from right here. So I have different shapes, arrows, call out signs, or equations. Or I could also insert a shape from directly from the toolbar, which is right in here. I can go into shapes, and let's say I want to insert a shape which is like this circle. And I want to make a perfect circle in here. So I'm going to press my shift key, and I'm going to extend it so it becomes a perfect circle like this. Or else it will become an oval, which could look like this. So let's say if I choose the same shape, and so I could also get an oval or a different type of shape if I don't press the shift key. However, if I do, then I get a perfect circle, which is what I originally wanted. So let's go back to that, and I'm going to draw nice little circle, position it such that I get it to a stage that I like. I can, if you see, I have this little yellow dot right here, which I can use to position my internal circle so I can get the kind of design that I like. That looks good to me. So I'm going to stick with that. And now I also want to get an image which is related to the message that I'm trying to convey on my poster. So let's see, how do I insert an image? I go into insert, and I choose the option of image. So here you have multiple options to insert an image. You can upload an image, you can take a snapshot, you can also do this by a URL, you can insert it from your albums, you can insert it from your Google Drive, or you can also go and search for an image. So what I'm going to do is search for an image within the Google search bar, and what it says is results shown here are labeled for commercial reuse with modification. So this just allows you to look for images right in your Google Drawing. So what I what I'm looking for is a girl child. um, yes. um, and let's see, I would like to use an image like this. Okay, and I can select that image. It says image you highlighted was found on Google image search on this page. So you can also make sure that you mention this image address into, or give proper credit to where you're receiving the image into your poster. So I'm going to insert that image right here. I can position that image such that it is. And now what I'm trying to do is bring in this graphic. I can order it to bring it to the front so that it is positioned properly. I can also look at my background, and I can make it solid. So I have an image that I can modify such that it fits in really well. I can also go into my image options right here, and I can see if I would like to modify my image and bring it to a little bit of a different adjustment. I am going to position it properly again. And here is a poster that I have made of Save the Girl Child within Google Drawing. I can always go back to my file. I can download it as a PDF document or a JPEG document, PNG, or a scalable vector graphic, or I can publish it to the web. And whatever changes I make to this document in here, when I publish it to the web, it will show up on the published document. So these are some of the ways in which you can add text to your document, you can add images, you can add shapes, or you can add different arrows or different lines within your document. So that was a quick tour of Google Drawing and the basics of Google Drawing. In addition to that, what we have right here is a quick cheat sheet of how you can create a new document, what is the toolbar in Google Drawing, what are some of the commands in Google Drawing, and also in addition to that, a little bit about the line, the arrow, the scribble, polyline, and different types of tools that are available to you, and how to insert shapes and graphics into Google Drawing. We are also going to share with you these directions of using basics of Google Drawing. And there are really wonderful toolbar overviews, page setup overview, adding shapes, and all of the details that we discussed about it within this document. So this is a really great tutorial you could share, modify, and share with your classrooms as well. The next that's on our agenda is how many of the people find Google Drawings useful in their classroom. So these are just some examples of how Google Drawings can be used in your classroom. Of course, you can use them in many different creative ways. Students can create graphic organizers or concept maps with Google Drawings, which help them organize their ideas and make logical sequence of concepts. It also helps them make sense of certain concepts that way. We will share close to 10 Google Drawing templates with you, which are really wonderful graphic organizers that we've created and contributed by teachers as well. So let's go to that quickly. In my graphic design folder, we have a set of all of these graphic organizers, which are made in Google Drawing. So the first one that we are going to look at is called the timeline graphic organizer. The purpose of a timeline is to see when things happen in relation to one another. They are crucial for history courses and can also be as important for English language arts, math, or science courses. They can help students keep events in chronological order as they write summaries, or help them make connections and recognize patterns in a series or process. The nice thing about using drawing to make timelines is the freedom to try different orientations, add images, links, resources, or text boxes, and add color to enhance the analytical points students or learners may need to make. Most of this can be done with paper, but it is very flexible when you use Google Drawings. The second graphic organizer that we want to share with you is that of a Venn diagram. Um, Venn diagram shows similarities and differences. On paper, it is really hard to predetermine how much writing space you will need. So in Google Drawing, you can pretty much extend your diagrams. You can modify them. You can type in there. So it is a more flexible format, again, to access the learning in your classrooms. The third graphic organizer that we wanted to share with you is that of which is called labeling images. In this, learners could label parts of a cell, explain a picture of a medieval manor, make maps with links or other resources, or label the map of a building or a house, or You can pretty much name anything. Don't hesitate to work beyond the given shapes. So in this case, you can also add images, links, colors. So you could literally take a text box like this, move it to where you would like to move, and students could be doing this activity in the class, or it can be a group collaborative effort as they are working together on a smart board in your classroom. So that was the third graphic organizer. The fourth one is called a network tree. The network tree can be used to classify species, um, show military or political office leadership, or to show how a story unfolds. Try using the network tree also as a concept map. For example, the vowel concept can be followed by the vowels, which can be followed by words with those vowels. So you could have a vowel concept followed by vowel, followed by the words using those vowels. This kind of mapping helps with writing organizations and other skills needed for planning and semantic work, like writing code or making software. So many a times, this is sort of the flow chart that a lot of the computer scientists use in order to think through what the problem is and how they are going to lay out the solution. Um, the next one that we chose and have it ready for you as a template is that of a seating plan. And you automatically would think maybe I need to do this for the classroom, or how my desks are arranged. But how about seating the characters of a novel for a special dinner event? Learners could add blurbs about each character and summarize the kind of conversations that may transpire throughout the meal. So that could be about a chapter they're reading, or about a story that they are engaged in your classroom. And this could be a really great graphic organizer to support that learning. The next one that we want to share with you is called a problem solutions graphic organizer. And this should look different almost every single time. For more complicated problems, you are free to choose different shapes and arrows to best visualize or represent the main issues and the potential paths to a solution. Likewise, the solution may be a cloud, like shown below, or something else that depicts a bit of the essence of the solution or problem solving process. So, this again helps students analyze their thinking and then put it on paper. There is tremendous amount of flexibility as you use these graphic organizers or create these graphic organizers in Google Drawing. The next one we wanted to show or share with you is that of a KWL chart, which essentially we've used a lot of these. It reflects on the knowledge, making predictions, and reflecting on learning. Those are the three exercises that make any lesson very powerful. So, what I know, what I want to know, and what I've learned. And that really is a great way to organize the thought process for students, for us, as we are going through the lessons. This is provided by Ditch That Textbook, and that's why a copyright is given to the owner right here. There is another KWL chart that we have modified from the one that people commonly use. So you could be using this, which is also created in Google Classroom. The last but not the least, I also want to share another one which is called Options and Diamond. This is a graphic organizer, and this is perhaps one of the most useful problem solving strategies because it allows learners to consider more than one option and work with those options in different ways. As usual, you can, of course, use colors, shape, interactivity to make this visual a more valuable tool for presentation. So it can, it's again about different problem solving strategies and how one can visualize their problem solving strategies in these wonderful graphic organizers. Having said that, going back to our discussion of graphic organizer, we also have a few more templates that we wanted to share with you. One is that of a main idea umbrella template, where in you have the main idea, the key idea, and then which is under that main umbrella idea. You have the small ideas which essentially support the concept that you are talking about. We also have a template of a prediction chart that you could be using while you're reading a book, and asking students to fill this up. So these are really interactive graphic organizers that you could be sharing with your students in your classroom and using it for different purposes in science, math, English language arts, or different classes. There is also a template of coordinate grid, which is very helpful because Google Drawing, although is working on creating a grid of four embedded within the Google Drawings, it hasn't yet provided so. So you could be using this coordinate grid Google Drawing template and using it in your math classes or any other classes where you need a grid to draw your objects. Um, so going back to our discussion, quickly, in addition to graphic organizers, you could also be using Google Drawings to create comic strips. So students could create an autobiographical comic strip in Google Drawing, which can incorporate speech bubbles in order to experiment with different languages, sentence structures, or vocabulary in a meaningful concept. Students could be creating posters in Google Drawings. They can also annotate different images, and also they can highlight or tag important features, make comments, or highlight key concepts as they're annotating different images. They can also have a math problem that can be shared with students, and students can explain their thinking as they're solving the math problem. So that could be a really great way of using Google Drawings in your classroom. Of course, we've seen timelines in different ways, like, for example, you see history of aviation here and how you can put together different types of timelines with images and graphics. You can also use Google Drawings to do tutorial graphics where students can explain how to do something or define a concept, and that could be a really great way of visualizing their explanation for others to learn from. And WordWeb's students who might be struggling with vocabulary words can create word webs. The word webs can illustrate how keywords or concepts are related to one another through graphic interpretation. And you can see right here, there is a nice little infographic in Google Drawing that has been created about Google Apps Essential. So again, there are many different ways in which educators use Google Drawing as a tool in their classroom to collaborate, to showcase student knowledge, as well as share collaborative learning with each other. So keeping that in mind, these are really great ways of accessing knowledge and learning in your classroom. These are a few resources that we would like to share, and we will elaborate upon them as we go into our next webinar. But you could be using Google Drawing for collaborative problem solving, and this is right here is a link to a great discussion about how they're using collaborative problem solving in the math classroom using Google Drawing. Of course, you can create timelines in Google Drawing, can create badges in Google Drawing, add a digital signature, classify or sort using Google Drawing. So there is a really great activity in there. And you can also use and create Venn diagrams. As a follow up to this webinar, you could also tune in to the webinar that we'll be having about how to use Google Drawing specifically in a math classroom. So there is a sequence of mathematical activities which focus on shapes, fractions, pictographs, congruent shapes, triangles, quadrilaterals, algebraic expressions, so on and so forth. So that is going to be the focus of that Teaching Mathematics with Google Drawing webinar. Please feel free to join us. We will be having that webinar scheduled in summer, and we'll post information about it in the DLT channel. In addition to that, all the resources that you have seen on this webinar, including the basics handout, the graphic organizer templates, and Google Drawing cheat sheet will also be made available to you online. We will also be hosting an advanced Google Drawing webinar, which will focus on creating an infographic, creating a vector graphic, selecting and creating some design posters, which use some advanced um, tools within Google Drawing, a website banner, and also how to insert sound and videos in Google Drawing. So that was it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Rashmi, and have a wonderful day.